Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. Today we have our final Italian folktale of the week. And this one is much like our first. It has such a wholesome ending, and it could go a very dark, very different way. But it doesn't. And it's just the perfect way to end this week. This is The Clever Peasant. There was once a king who, while hunting, saw a peasant working in the fields and asked him, "How much do you earn in a day?" "4 carlini, your majesty," answered the peasant. "What do you do with them?" continued the king. The peasant said, "The first I eat. The second I put out at interest, the third I give back, and the fourth I throw away." The king rode on, but after a time the peasant's answer seemed very curious to him, so he returned and asked him, "Tell me, what do you mean by eating the first carlino, putting the second out to interest, giving back the third, and throwing away the fourth?" The peasant answered, "With the first I feed myself. With the second, I feed my children, who must care for me when I am old. With the third, I feed my father, so to repay him for what he has done for me, and with the fourth I feed my wife, and thus throw it away, because I have no profit from it." "Yes," said the king, "you are right. Promise me, however, that you will not tell anyone this until you have seen my face 100 times. The peasant promised, and the king rode home well pleased. While sitting at table with his ministers, he said, "I'll give you a riddle. A peasant earns 4 carlini a day. The first he eats, the second he puts out at interest, the third he gives back, and the fourth he throws away. What is that?" No one was able to answer it. One of the ministers remembered finally that the king had spoken the day before with the peasant, and he resolved to find that peasant and obtain from him the answer. When he saw the peasant, he asked him for the answer to the riddle, but the peasant answered, "I cannot tell you, for I have promised the king to tell no one until I have seen his face 100 times. "Oh," said the minister, "I can show you the king's face," and drew 100 coins from his purse, and gave them to the peasant. On every coin the king's face was to be seen, of course. After the peasant had looked at each coin once, he said, "I have now seen the king's face 100 times, and can tell you the answer to the riddle," and told him it. The minister went in great glee to the king and said, "Your majesty, I have found the answer to the riddle. It is so-and-so." The king exclaimed, "You can have heard it only from the peasant himself," had the peasant summoned and took him to task. "Did you not promise me to not tell it until you had seen my face 100 times?" "But, your majesty," answered the peasant, "your minister showed me your picture 100 times. Then he showed him the bag of money that the minister had given him. The king was so pleased with the clever peasant that he rewarded him and made him a rich man for the rest of his life. And that is the story of The Clever Peasant, a tale from Sicily that really, this is as good as it gets in terms of wholesome tale. The structure is so familiar, but we've seen so many versions of this where the peasant has, gotten a bad rap, truly dealt an ill hand, and this isn't the case. In this case, both the minister and the king act very well towards him, don't they? This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next week, we'll be back with 3 new tales. As always, thank you so much for listening.